Welcome. I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin. Today, I'm sharing a Christmas card project with you. It's so pretty. I can't wait to share with you and share some tips and techniques to make the stamping go just the way you want it. Thanks for watching. This is the pretty Christmas card I'm going to show you how to make. I have 3 versions here for you. In my card classes, it's nice when people have a choice of what color, or maybe you have a favorite color. Or more likely, maybe you have a lot of cardstock in one of these colors, and it's a great way then to use up some of that cardstock. So this is the card, and I'm holding it up because I'm hoping you can see the pretty embossing folder on here. The front of our card is embossed, and I embossed it with the Merry Melody embossing folder. And I also embossed the envelope flap. That just kind of also adds another touch, because you know, cards coming out of here, we don't send naked envelopes. The stamps that I'm using is from our mini catalog, the July through December, and it's called Peace to You. Isn't that a beautiful set? Besides these 2 images, we have sentiments. It's a gorgeous set. Now there's a lot of background stamp here, and sometimes getting that ink the way you want just takes a little bit more effort on your part, but it's so worth it, and I'll show you some ways that I do that. So let's begin with our card. Oh, and the colors I used were Night of Navy, Evening Evergreen, and the card I'm going to make with you, which is Merry Merlot. So we'll set those aside, and the first thing we're going to do is ink, because that's going to be our work today. That will take quite a bit. I've set my stamp up on a Stamparatus, and honestly, without a Stamparatus or a stamping platform, this would be pretty hard to do, because we're going to stamp multiple times, and we want to land in the same place each time. So for our card, we're going to line up our sentiment for the inside, which I have right here. And I chose from the front of it, may God's hope and love shine on you this season. I donate cards to our church to send out to people who can't get out. They send out, maybe 12 to 18 I donate each holiday. And so this will be the one I'm donating to the church to send out for Christmas. There we go. Now, the Stamparatus comes with 2 magnets. I snagged another one because, especially for the piece here, the little side piece, you want this very tightly adhered. I'm using an ink spot because I have arthritis in my hands and it's easier for me to control. But honestly, with as much inking as you're going to do, it might for you work better to use a large ink spot. Regardless of the size of the ink pad, we're tapping, we're not pushing hard. You know, sometimes, especially when you want to get a lot of ink, you think, oh, if I just really push and get that ink in there. What happens when you push really hard on your ink pad against your stamp? The ink is actually pushing away from there, like you're pushing it out and not onto your stamp. So a little patience, which is not my strength. We're just going to use a light tap. Now, this is where you want to use your muscle. I'm moving that one magnet so it doesn't get in my way. And then this is where you want to muscle. For me, I get better push with the heel in my hand. You may be able to do better with your fingers. So I'm just giving it some work here. And I love how the inside of the card turned out. And we don't want to have to ink that again. This isn't as dark as I want it. So I'm going to lift that magnet and get this out of the way. That's done. Now we're going to ink again. And I'm going to bring this up to show you. I don't have a lot of ink over here. That's not as big a deal because when we cut the circle in our card, see, we're just catching the edge of that tree. So I'm really putting most of my ink in there. But just in case, I'll probably add a little bit more there. And so I'm just really trying to get as much ink on here. And I found it took me about 3 times. But it's worth it. It's just beautiful. And talking to other demonstrators and watching other demonstrators make this same stamp set, that's pretty consistent. Oh, look at that. Hey guys, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm going to say we're good. There we go. Now, as one of my customers pointed out in class, this was a card we did in class. Her navy looked a little bit more like mine, and she felt like it just kind of looked like a variation of the night sky, and she was fine with less ink in some spots. Now, when you've inked up your stamp that much, before we go on, we're going to clean it. There's a lot of ink in here. So I'm just using my stamping chamois. I love this. And yes, it's very stained, and you can see there's a lot of ink here. But I'll wash it out, and the ink will go away. The stain will stay, but that's okay. It really pulls up ink. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. The next thing we're going to talk about is embossing. Again, I'm using the Merry Melody embossing folder. And notice how thick it is. That means it's one of our 3D folders. And that's important in terms of how we set up our cut and emboss machine. Just setting my ink aside so we don't get that on anything else. And I'm going to emboss my card front and my envelope flap. I'm moving my paper because your cut and emboss grips your tabletop better than a sheet of paper. Pull down the sides. When you're using the Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss, you're always going to use plate 1. And then plate 1 tells you what else you need. Because I'm using a 3D embossing folder, I just need 1 and 4. There's plate 1, there's plate 4. That's going to form my sandwich. Here's my piece of paper I'm going to emboss. It's a standard 4 by 5 1/4. You can find all my directions, my measurements, the supplies I used on the blog post I've listed below. Now about embossing folders, a couple tricks. One, Stampin' Up! Logo is always on top. The fold is first. And then, especially one like this that has straight lines, this black line at the bottom helps me line it up. Now when I close it, I'm catching some air in there. And because I'm doing fold first, that will just push that air out of the way. Whereas if I went this way, it'd kind of fight that all the way through. So this goes down, then this. And there we go. It's very smooth. If it isn't running smooth for you, the plate is wrong and you want to play with it a little bit. Oh, look at this. So we went to blah to amazing. Now let's do that envelope flap I was talking about. I'm using very vanilla today with my Merry Melody. You could use basic white, whatever works for you. I want to emboss just this part. And I don't want the embossing to come down into my envelope. So this line is my guide. And the bottom of my folder where I can see embossing is going to line up with that. I'm going to close it and do exactly the same thing. Embossing an envelope is such an easy way just to add an extra touch to that envelope. I often do it with wedding invites I'm making for a bride or a wedding card, but you can do it with any kind of card. You are going to hear that little bump because it's off the edge. And now we have an embossed envelope. We're not done. My opening, we're going to die cut that next. So if I'm die cutting, our dies are called thin dies. I need plate 1 I have, plate 2, which is called the cutting plate, and 2 of plate 3. So let's talk about those. This is plate 2. And then you want 2 clear plates. Clear is a relative term. My plates are well loved, but they'll work. So I'm going to do it on this end so you can see what I'm doing. I used one of the stitched circles, and what I did was I laid it over the image to see which size circle I needed. And I'm just going to put it kind of at the top of my card. Now guys, I am married to a very musical person. I'm married into a very musical family. I am not at all music. I have no idea if these notes are going upside down, but we're going to hope they're going the right way, and that people are so distracted by the pretty little card they won't notice that I may have put these notes going the wrong way. There we go. And there we go. Now I have all these lovely circles left. I'm not sure. I'm going to do something with them because they're so pretty. But let's get back to making our card and not talk about I have a long list of projects I'm going to do yet. Are you like that? Yes, always a project to work on. And we're going to close up our machine. It takes up so little room. And we're going to make this pretty card. We've really done all the work. Now it's just assembly. So the next thing I'm going to do is, you could glue this flat, but sometimes when you pop it up, it just gives a little extra shadow or whatever to make it look a little more interesting. So I'm grabbing dimensionals, and I'm going to grab full-size ones. And I'm not, you don't need a lot, but because I want this circle to really stand up, I'm going to be a little more generous. Like so. Then I'm going to peel them off. The backings come off, and now they're sticky on both sides if you haven't used our dimensionals. Just get rid of the backings. These kind of land everywhere. They stick to your clothes, wherever. Now, you get to decide what shows through your window. I don't really want this lower part because I think the vanilla on the vanilla isn't going to show up. So like, I don't want to do it like this. I want to catch the bottom of that church and this. What do you think, guys? Pretty good, huh? Now we're going to add some ribbon at the bottom. And my ribbon is 12 inches long. I'm going to grab a glue dot. And I'm going to put the glue dot right where I want. I'm pausing because I'm missing my take your pick tool. Do you guys ever lose things on your crafting table? I do all the time. So we'll just grab a snip. So there's always a second tool you can use. I'm going to grab a glue dot and put it right where I kind of want my knot to land. Then I'm going to play with my ribbon a little bit to get it where I want. And I find if my card starts out straight, everything else I do on it lands a little straighter. Not always. There we go. And then once I kind of get that knot, I need a bit more ribbon on this side. There. All right, it's just a knot. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Really, this card goes together pretty quickly once you have the stamping done. And I don't know about you, those of you with arthritis in your hands. I have good hand days and not such good. Guess what kind of day we're having right now. We're going to pull that through. Look at, there we go. And then I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. Notice my lovely ribbons. A dear friend, who's another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, gave it to me. It's meant to be a bag tag, which is what you mark your bag when you go to a Stampin' Up! Event. But I use it to mark it as, so I know this is a ribbon scissors. It has ribbons on the end, so I don't cut anything but ribbon with it. All right, now, because I have Stampin' Up! Dimensionals here, I need to add some down here because I don't want the card to rock, meaning that it's up farther on one end than the other. So we're going to go back, and we're going to add a couple more dimensionals. And maybe up here in the corner. Wherever I can kind of see that flat space, like here it's popped up and there it's not. And then we'll take those backings off. There we go. And this part has to adhere to our card. So you could use multi-purpose glue. I'm using our tape runner. I like Seal Plus. All right, let's attach this to our card. We're almost there, guys. My card base is Mary Merlot, which is the same ink I used. And I like to have a nice crisp fold on my card. So I'm going to use a bone folder. Whoa, it's catching the corner of that. Okay. This is our card front. That's going to go there. Isn't that pretty? And then on the inside, we're going to just add a little bit more tape runner. This is very strong. You don't need a lot. Probably more than, I probably put more there than you need it. And again, if my card is straight, there we go. Now, I got this far and felt like it just needed one more thing. So I grabbed They're called red and green adhesive back pearls, but there's a lot of colors in here, and I'm going for the gold right now. Though you certainly could use, let's try the red on there. There's some gold here already. Let's see what we think about with the red. They would work too. When I'm adding embellishments, I use them to highlight what I want you to see on the card. Oftentimes it's the sentiment, here it's the image. And then I put them in odd numbers, typically 3, and in a triangular, roughly triangular shape. That's where your eye's gonna go. There we go. Oh, you know, I think I like the red. Guys, we're done with our card. Look at that. We have an embossed folder envelope that matches our embossed card front. We have a beautiful Christmas card. And you have options. If Mary Merlot is not your color or you don't have it in your card stash, Night of Navy, Evening Evergreen, pull out just a deep, rich color that would work for a Christmas card. Thanks so much for watching my YouTube video. If you liked it, I'd really appreciate hitting a like, and certainly consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so you know when I release another video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care, stay well, and keep creating. It's good for you. Thank you.